Hi, it's Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. Um, with me today is Sue Sutcliffe, and we're going to talk about some of the disruptions that have taken place in the world of marketing over the last year and a couple of years, in terms of COVID and really it's changed marketing. Certainly, I've never seen it change so much. It's changed a lot. But before we get into talking about those things, Sue, where can people find you?
SueSutcliffe.com is the best place. And of course, they can always come find me at World Event Center. I'm usually hanging out there by the pool.
And we'll talk about that in a moment. But and you're also on LinkedIn and things like that. So
Yes,
you when we did our prep call, you said to me you were really precise about a date. And you said that you were involved in the internet and social media back in 1993. I mean, you were pretty precise about that day. Tell us about your journey and your history.
I still remember the day, Tim. I was pushing my kids on the swing, and one of my neighbors had talked about getting on the internet, and he was a bit geeky like me, and he was struggling with something. I said, "Well, let's do it." And so we packed the kids up from the park, and we went to his place, and we got on the internet. So that was my first time. I wasn't doing it commercially then, but I was definitely excited. I mean, I thought it was a huge. It was just exciting. It was an
Mm.
exciting time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, and so you've been involved in marketing since then, and you've seen a whole bunch of changes take place, especially during COVID. The way that correct me if I'm wrong, but you've run digital agencies, you've done events and organized events, and of course, what happened was that COVID came along and basically cut all that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. I've been doing marketing. I mean, I don't remember not I think since the early 90s I've been doing marketing. But I think the internet kind of supercharged it. I really love the fact that the internet, when it came out, leveled the playing field for a brief time. So because I got on the internet early, it was an educational journey, and it was exciting. It was something new, and I got to learn, and I thought that was really exciting. I have seen a lot of transformation, especially like I ran a digital agency for 22 years, I guess, before I sold the client base. And now I focus 100% on events because I just love the fact that I can feed my brain and socialize at the same time.
Hmm.
I've seen the ability to go on and do events and virtual conferencing has been around since the late 90s. My company's been remote since 1995, and yet it took COVID to really get the decision makers to take that jump. So it's an exciting time for sure.
I remember going to conferences and exhibitions, and for me, in sales, basically, the thing was you stayed in great hotels and that the company paid for, and had meals that the company paid for, and you ended up at the end of the week with still money in your pocket that you did, so, and I was even way back in my 20s, I was dubious about whether it was actually creating anything.
Yeah, it's I've been watching you on social, and I just love how you're innovating that space and talking about things that a lot of us have been thinking for a long time. You're calling it straight, and I love that. I think a lot of more people need to listen about that. Nobody wants to watch an ad. I mean, unless they're the Super Bowl ads, and you happen to be a marketing, geek. They want in sales, you want to look at it and stuff like that. But really, I mean, Netflix grew because we didn't want to watch ads. So
Hmm.
it's not about, and I think really what I love the most, what attracted to me to follow you, and anybody listening here on my side that's following me, please do follow Tim. You'll be very surprised with what you get. He's a sales guru, and he really has it right. I mean, it's all about starting conversations, and I love how you spoke about that, and that's why I love events, because events allow us to have conversations with people. I mean, in the old days, they said that, well, people
Sounds like the
do business
postman's
with people.
coming, Sue. It's because your dog's barking. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I've got the
No, it's
doors
all right.
closed.
It's all right. No, it's we're live and it happens.
today's reality, right?
It is.
Yeah, but I think we deal with people that we know, like, and trust, and how better to do that than to get together. And in the past we did it at conferences, and I'm with you, Tim. I loved going to conferences and loved that whole scene. I was really lucky when I started out my business in '95. It grew really fast because the internet grew really fast. And I always had a team behind me to back me up, so I could go and do all that stuff. And my world changed a lot when I sold the agency, because I left to take care of some personal business, and I was doing consulting and all that. But all of a sudden, I've got to do my own deposits, and I've got to do my I've got to take the garbage out, and I have all these things, and I'm thinking, well, holy, the failure rate for businesses was 90% in year one, before the internet, before social media. And now with all this stuff, they need a better solution. And I feel like, the time, there was a lot of people left out that couldn't leave. For me, I'm a caregiver. So it's not something I couldn't leave and get on a jet and go somewhere and learn. And so for me, that's why I decided to get into this industry, because and it really became something that um, it really raised awareness about inclusivity and accessibility for events, because
Yes.
there's a lot of people out there that, before, like, I'm a caregiver, but there's lots of people that were born with a disability that stops
Yep.
them getting on a plane.
Yes.
So so really, I think in an age where society is saying, hey, we need to be inclusive, we need to be accessible, and we need to serve everyone. I think, what, virtual events are, well, I mean, the stats are saying it. They're here to stay. People want virtual events. And I don't think the in-person events will go away, because I think everybody's wired differently. And I think for different purposes, there's benefits to both. And certainly, the hybrid model is evolving in a really crazy way, and some good and bad. We're experimenting in that space. Um,
So
so
this is what so one of the things about what you've done, Sue, and way back in 1993, you were experimenting, and what we needed people to innovate. And then the conversation that we had when we did a preparation session was that you um, you were looking at the virtual conference space and the hybrid event space, and just going to put words in your mouth. Sorry, and you did what everybody did, was that you went down a Zoom approach,
yeah.
which is, it's very obvious. What we'll do is, it's a very open and available platform. Everybody's using it. We use it for meetings. So what we'll do is, we'll set up a Zoom call. We'll send people a link. They'll join it, and we'll run it just as it's an external meeting, but we run it just like an internal meeting.
Hmm.
And that gets you so far. And I totally agree, and I know people that are still using that. But you also kind of felt that there was restrictions in that.
Yeah, there
So
was a
talk
huge.
us through that process that you went through there.
Sure. Well, once I got things settled and I was ready to start my next business, I decided on running a virtual event to educate business people that couldn't necessarily get to conferences, and or couldn't afford it. So they could either not afford the time or the money. I approached a few sponsors. We got 4 national sponsors. So I knew that they were having trouble getting to these people too. So there was a business model, and I decided to launch it. And with Zoom, because there was really not a lot of options. I'd used GoToMeeting, I'd used Blue Jeans, there's a whole slew of them that I had used. But Zoom seemed to be the most stable at the time. And I used it for my coaching. So I went ahead and did it. Now the next day we had pretty good success. We had a lot of thank you notes coming in the next day. And I realized at that moment that I was not going to do it again, that there had to be a better way, because there was just no engagement. And it's funny, you decide in your mind you want to do something, and you go full tilt. I mean, that's the way I'm wired, and that's what I had done with this business model. But the one thing that I hadn't counted on was the gap. And in my mind, a conference was hey, Tim, what stream did you take? And what did you think of that keynote speaker? And do you want to meet for beers? And yet, with the virtual conference, it was just the engagement wasn't there. There was a huge gap. So rather than setting out to start the next event, it was supposed to be a quarterly event. I decided to, dig in and do some deep research. Surely there had to be a solution that filled that gap. And really, there wasn't much out there then. Now that's changed since the pandemic, but at the time, I went looking for that. I ended up finding an Australian man. I think you know him, Keith Keller,
Yeah.
and he was on this looking for the same thing for different reasons. We ended up finding Remo, and I fell in love. The platform was easy to use. It was easy to set up an event, and I decided right then and there that had to be that had to be something I wanted to train on. I mean, the tools, it's like driving a Rolls Royce. You have all the tools. and and anyway, so long story short, I was just still doing the research, and then the pandemic struck. That kind of crushed my hybrid conference idea, because all of a sudden, instead of having a real niche and very little competition here in Canada, all of a sudden I was competing with people all over the world that were running digital marketing conferences, that were fighting to fulfill contracts and trying to feed their family. And I really thought, you know what, I can pause right now. I can take a little bit to pause, and let's just digest this. This is huge. And I mean, it was huge for all of us. 17 days later, I launched World Event Center, powered by Remo, because I wanted to gather the communities I knew. And I figured,
It's worth saying that I think you pointed out that there was 337 different type of event solutions out there on the market.
there are now. Yeah,
There
there
are now,
wasn't then.
but you've looked at Remo, which is Remo. Let me just open up the screen, so what people can do is actually visualize what you're talking about. So why don't
Mm.
you explain what you've created and why you've created it? Because I think it's why you've created it is just as important.
Oh, okay. Well, for sure. So I created it for myself to gather the businesses that had basically supported my business all these years. I knew they were stopped. There was no way for them to gather together. So that's why I started it initially. And because I wanted to run conferences, I thought that would be really fun. I love learning, so of course I get the best speakers in town when you have the best venue. So I thought, okay, this is cool. And because the place allows you to network it freely, it was really a style of networking that I really liked. So I'm just gonna I'm in the platform right now, and you can move seats just by double clicking, and that's kind of cool, because not only can you go and meet the people that you want to meet, you can also avoid the people you don't want to meet.
And I
Now,
love that because
yeah.
conferences are like that. You know very well there'll be so many people there, but there's only so many people you want to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. And this room is set up. This space here is set up for a very small group, because that's typically what we get in the showroom. But we can go up to 1,000 people, and then in which case there's an elevator keypad over here, and you can move up and down. So you really can escape if somebody's there that you don't want to see. The other thing that I really liked about it from a business standpoint is the fact of how easy it was to connect. So I'm not sure. Well, when you're talking to somebody, or even if you're not there, you can if you see them and you go, oh, I want to connect with that person, you can click on their avatar, and then this little pop up appears. And based on what they enter, you can actually with them in real time by clicking on the icons, and book a meeting even in real time. So I thought that was kind of a cool feature as well. Now you can go live and go on and broadcast, just like Zoom and all the other forms. But the beautiful thing about this is that, we don't want to sit there all day watching TV.
Mm.
And that was why my conference, in my mind, the next day, and I'm saying I'm not doing that, because I wouldn't want to do that.
Mm.
So the beautiful thing is, here you can teach a little bit, and then you can come down and do a little bit
So
of
in a way,
time.
it's like a real conference, which is that there are sessions that you can go to.
Yep.
Um, you said there's an elevator to a top floor, which is where you can go and have some quiet time.
Hmm. Yeah, you
And
can,
but you can also sit and actually talk to people and have conversations. So exactly what you would do, where you might say to somebody, "I'll meet you in the corridor at 11 o'clock, and we'll grab a coffee."
yes, exactly. And the beautiful thing is you can name tables too. So it's really set up like we can name this one Tim's table, and we can and then people when they arrive they know where to go.
Mm.
There can also be ads. So in this particular floor plan, the ad is here, and when you click here, it comes up and shows an ad. Um, so there's lots of different things that you can do, and it doesn't have to look like this either, which is kind of cool. So you can have up to 20 ads. Actually, I think you can, and then you can have different templates too. So it's easy for branding. So just like I put this graphic up here, attend a live event, you could also put up, logos for the various businesses that are sponsoring the event. So now all of a sudden we can give them huge value.
Mm.
Um, one of the things I did immediately was launch an event called DHSBA. And what I did is I changed the floor plan, and I'm going to just show you how that works because it's
Yeah,
really
sure.
quick to do. And because you can completely customize this. So, for example, I this is a graphic that I found that I personalized, but there's all sorts. I mean, it can be anything you want it to be. So, in for one of the things that I did initially is I created this floor plan here, and I did it in Canva. And then you can basically with Adobe Illustrator add the layers, and all of a sudden you can have sponsors at booths, not just greeting people with text. You can actually go to sit at a sponsor's table and actually talk to them. And
Mm.
so if you think about the value of being able to, and I'm just going to select and see how it
Yep,
transforms.
please do.
Um, yeah, and it's like, and that's one of the things I like about it too is it's just so easy to set up. I mean, I see stats where events can take up to a month to set up. This
Mm.
is really simple. You can set up an event in an hour.
Right.
Uh, and I'm just going to refresh this so that you can see the new floor plan. Oh, it's going to make me log back in.
Oh, yeah. One moment, caller.
I'm not sure exactly. This is
There's nothing like working in doing it live, Sue.
in real time, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Never never work with children, animals, or computers. Is a
yeah,
is
there you go, right? There you go. So this is a floor plan that we use that I for like an event series that I started right away to connect businesses with other businesses. So the way it worked is they would pay a certain they would pay a fee to come in, or you could pay to have a table with your logo on it, and basically you would come in, you'd get in early, be able to network with the other exhibitors, and then basically sit at your table, and we can actually automatically seat you there. And then people can come and see you and pop around the way they want to pop the way they want to do it. And I think the advantages of this are that you can one sponsor could take over the whole thing, but you could also have like share the wealth with a whole bunch of exhibitors. So besides, like so exhibiting, you can do the exhibiting, you can do the networking, there's speed networking, there's all sorts of things you can do. And really it fills a bunch of gaps that I felt like I needed for me. The other thing I found out is, I mean, I've been teaching people networking for years. I've been done pretty well with it. I really love people, and I think and what I've learned is that a lot of introverts are really struggling with the new technologies that are out there. I mean, they don't want to jump on. I don't want to slander any of this. A lot of them have speed networking, and some of them just don't care for it.
hate it.
They don't do it at all because they don't want to come face to face with somebody they don't know. And I think that freedom is good. And plus, it's easy. The technology. I mean, and a lot of them have come a long way. Like Zoom now lets you have breakout rooms, which is great. But you saw how easy it is just to name a table here. So I think Remo is a really good low, uh, a really good, easy way to set up an event. And that's why I powered World Event Center with it. However, not all event, the market's come a long way since 2020. As soon as the pandemic struck, all over the world, there's been developments. So we actually research this on an ongoing basis, and that's how we have all the platforms to
Yeah.
stay up with what they're doing.
Mm.
I found one of the things that I would caution anybody listening about is the research that you go to look at is often wrong because the
Right.
the the industry is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
So if you go to look for the stats or what the best one is, number one, they're all planted by marketers.
Yeah.
And number two, if you go to the site of the person or of the company that's running it, of course they've got old stats for this for because they're
Yeah.
not doing the research on a regular basis. So
And their
um,
website probably is old because it's like one of the last things that you. Yeah.
exactly. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of rating solutions on the internet for tech, and like they're gamed. Like they can be gamed by marketing people. So really the only way when you're putting together an event, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this event. And really, I mean, even if you're a professional speaker or educator or your brand, everything is on how you make them feel. And if the tech doesn't go right, it's on you. And like whereas the groups that are meeting on World Event Center is growing, all my Zoom groups, have gone down.
Mm.
Um, but there are lots of different platforms coming up, and you really do need to kind of keep your eye on the market, and talk to a lot of people to make sure that when you're putting together an event, and every event's different too. I feel like the niche for Remo, at least for where it fits with me, we're on a mission to make the world a better place.
Mm.
And we work with people that do the same, that are on the same mission. So for us, we specialize in industry associations because they need conferences, they need annual general meetings. They need to go. They need to. Their members deserve the opportunity to have an instant office 24/7 to go one to one with each other. That's just good for business.
Yes.
So we've kind of focused on that and economic development. So that's why we use this platform, but there are other platforms for other purposes. And they all have, some people really want to do the hybrid, and they want to have multiple locations. When you get into a big event, you have to go into different platforms. So usually what I do, Tim, and it's no different than you do with when you're dealing with a new client, is you listen to what their business plan is, what's your model, and who you're serving, and what do they want, and then try things out. Ask your top ones. What do you think of this, and what do you think about that? And that's really the litmus test, right? Because that way, once you want more of your top clients. So
Yeah.
that's what I did with when I decided to take on Remo and start using it for a platform on World Event Center. But we will run other events for other people, and we partner a lot in the industry, and I think that kind of is a necessity now, because you can't be a master of all, right?
Mm.
Nowadays. So I think you have to pick your niche, and then really be prepared to help other people get their goals. And well, you know what Zig Ziglar says, right?
Mm.
Help enough people get what they want, and you'll get what you want, something like that.
Mm.
I should
So,
quote that.
so, so thank you so much for today. It's been fascinating seeing the way that the world of events are changing. Um, the days of having a stand where you have a bowl where you put a business card in, I think are long gone.
Yeah,
And we all need to innovate. And I think the important thing is, as you said, is that we've got to. It's not that this isn't staying still as a technology. It's a moving piece as well.
most definitely. And I think there's going to be. I think we're coming into an age of personalization, if we
Mm.
aren't already there. And everybody likes different things, and really at the end of the day, if we're in business, we have to please the people that we're trying to get a hold of, right? That's the
Yeah.
key. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the world of hybrid,
Mm.
because there's all sorts of different versions, and even in the industry, we can't agree on the term. I mean,
Mm.
I say I did a hybrid event in 2019 because I ran an event that was broadcast to three different locations across GTA. But some people say, well, that's not an event. And then and there's all these different technologies emerging. So I think honestly, it's an exciting time to be in this. I mean, I've been, kind of ever since that day in the park when I discovered the internet. My life has been changing every day based on technology, and it just keeps getting faster. So I'm excited about the future, and really with 50% of people planning on doing events, um, virtual events, I think it's something that we all have to look at. And I think really another trend is going to be event marketing and sales, because that's now that there's all the competition on the market. Now we have to treat it like a true marketing tool.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's going to lead a lot of opportunities for companies like yourself, to create spaces for people to talk and have conversations. I really loved it when you were describing social selling on your blog. And you just talked about, okay, I'm going to take you into an elevator and we can go to any floor and I'm going to take you to the floor you want. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's really what we need to do. We need to get help people visualize the fact that, you things have changed. And although, I think you can still do what you used to do, but I think, is it efficient? Is it an efficient use of your time? If you think even about networking, I mean, I don't know about you, Tim. I used to do a lot of networking. And, I lived in not far from the city. And so if I could do a meeting in the morning and a meeting in the afternoon. And it was wonderful. I loved it. I loved the social. But on this, I can have two or three in a morning.
Yeah.
And then you talk about sales results.
I mean, I've presented in, somewhere in the, I remember, I wouldn't do it now, but I remember I presented in Moscow in the morning and I was training people in California in the afternoon, sitting at my desk in London because I can.
Yeah.
And there was a time when people would have said, no, you've got to go on a plane and you've got to fly out, and all the wasted time that you have doing that, and you don't have that now.
No,
So,
no.
Sue, thank you so much for today and for demonstrating what you're up to enable people to visualize. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Well, you can put Sue Sutcliffe in any search engine, but SueSutcliffe.com or worldeventcenter.com, the best places to find me. And thanks, Tim. It's been a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
chatting with you.
It's just amazing how things are changing, and how fast they're changing. Part of that is because everybody had this working from home experiment,
Hmm.
and that seems to have changed an awful lot of things. So thank you so much for today, Sue. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Have a great
Thank,
day.